you doing, Brother Tom?
How you doing?
Good, thank you. I want to start off by saying this is our third and final career counseling session.
Okay.
What I was hoping to do today was give you an idea or an update as to where we are, what we've done thus far, or particularly in our last counseling session. Give you an idea of what the results of an assessment that you took meant. And I also wanted to gather a little bit more information from you that will help us, or assist us rather, with exploring other career options that will hopefully help you ultimately reach your career counseling goals.
Okay.
Does that sound pretty good?
That sound good?
Okay. What I want to start off with the word congruence. And the reason that I use that word is because congruence refers to a match. Or congruence means a match between a person and his or her working environment. All right.
Okay.
Again, congruence means a match between his or her, the person's working environment. So I want to see, based on the results that you took based on the results that were found in the assessment that you took, I want to see how well your personality matches to your environment,
Okay.
and vice versa, how well your environment matches to your personality. And that's going to be reflective of your personality characteristics. Again, it's reflective of the assessment results that we found after you took the assessments. And I'm not sure you remember, but we can review briefly if you like. Remember, those was social, conventional, enterprise, realistic, artistic, and investigative. Now, I have your results just in case you want to look at them at any given point. But if not, and if you do recall what they meant, we can proceed.
Okay.
That's okay. Okay. Now, again, just one more time, just to keep in mind, congruence refers to the match between a person and his or her environment. Now, your scores yesterday showed that your highest score was in the area of social, or your social area, in which you scored a 26. Okay, which again is indicative of your interests and your abilities. That shows that you have a lot of interests, or your main interests lie in the area of the social characteristic. Underneath, your second highest score was in the area of enterprising, which was a 14. Those will be, and everything, by the way, your social, or the one in which you scored the highest, which is 26, is representative of your dominating score, or is the dominant characteristic of personality type, while the others that fall underneath that one are secondary. Okay, the top one being social is your dominating characteristic, while the others are secondary. And I'll put this here just in case you'd like to look at it in a given point during our interview. Now, I'm wondering, can you tell me, based on the results and your scores, if there may have been a reason you think that you showed little or any interest in the areas in which you scored lower than your conventional score, maybe due to avoidance of those areas as far as interest and abilities, or possibly you may not have had an opportunity to explore those areas, you think, as they apply to you?
The one on the realistic, the one is that stuff that I'm not interested in, like working outside, working with plants and animals. I have done that type of stuff, but that's not me. I mean, I don't like doing it. So it's not that I avoid it, it's just I don't, and not that I haven't had the opportunity. I have an opportunity to do it.
Okay.
It's just I know I have done it, and it's just not something I like to do.
Okay, so again, it wasn't due to avoidance or lack of opportunity exposure. You just know already that's not interesting.
It's by choice.
Okay. Can you possibly speak to the others, or you feel the same about those as well?
The other one was
those in which you
investigation.
Okay, investigative. Okay.
If you can kind of say, let me look at what investigation was.
In fact, what I'll do is I'll have it upside down, make it vertical.
People with investigate interests like the work they have to do with ideas.
Now again, there's no wrong or right answer.
No, right. The investigation, that's interesting because I can see myself having to do some type of investigation.
Okay.
And sometimes I do have to find myself like figuring out problems. It's not something that I guess I say it's not something I like to do, because I'd rather more just come up with a solution instead of just trying to investigate. Just apply a solution, know what a solution is, and just know and apply to it.
So even though the number that's represented in the assessment is what it is, you still could find that you do have interest in the investigative character type.
Depends on what I'm investigating.
Okay.
Yeah. Depends on what. Now, some of the questions that it was asking, like investigating, like a body or investigating something like a chemical problem, stuff like that. That's not something I would be interested in doing.
Okay. So it just depends on the context of
yeah, or what depends on what the subject is or what am I investigating.
Okay.
What's the issue?
Okay, sounds good. Again, just want to know that information as it pertains to what's reflected in the assessment as it might help guide or further guide our exploration into further occupations that might be of interest to you. I also want to mention that even though social is the greatest number, that doesn't mean that that's the only personality type that applies to you.
Right.
Typically, people embody several or combinations of these personality types. So, for example, here with you scoring or the numbers represented the highest in the areas of social, enterprising, and conventional, that basically would be those personality types would be representative of you. So that would be your personality type, or we also call it a code. Again, not just one area in particular, but a combination of all those personality types as they apply to you in the working environment. Again, what we're trying to do here today is you find out how well you may mesh, or your personality type, these may mesh with your working environment. Again, we've learned based on the assessment yesterday that these apply to you, but again, today we want to find out whether or not these also apply to the work that you do. You working for Target in the area of retail, correct? Okay, so we just want to see how well they mesh and whether or not they're congruent. Back to that word. With that being said, can you tell me whether or not, based on the results, and again, based on social showing 26, do you think that in the work that you do, you have an opportunity to apply your social needs to your job, to Target, as far as the descriptors
teaching,
are concerned?
when you say like teaching, giving advice, helping and being of service to people, yes, because in retail, I mean, that's what you do. You do help people. You have strangers all the time. Well, we call them guests, but people that you don't know, you're helping them. Whether you're helping them find a item, find clothes, checking them out through a cash register. You also giving them advice on is this a good product. Also asking them if Target don't carry it, what's a good place to get it. You answer the question: is the item on sale? Is that a good price? You also find out helping people. Sometimes people come in asking you a question like, how to get to the airport, or how to get to the nearest restaurant. What's a nice restaurant to eat at? Or do the mall have a nice place to eat? So you are giving advice on teaching. Like I said yesterday with my coworkers, sometimes I find myself teaching them how to do stuff when they come to school. Like when some of them try and get in school and they need help trying to do their paperwork, I tell them what website to go to, or I tell them that I can write a letter for them. Giving advice. Sometimes I have people that may ask me a question about dealing with like a relationship. Someone may come ask me advice on spiritual things. Could they say, whereby is this verse said in the Bible, or what this church got this going on, or I heard this, what do you think about this? So all three of those come with it, or coming at being social, but working in retail, you can't work in retail and not be social. I don't want to say you can't, but if you're not social, but that's not where you need to be, because you have to be a people person.
Okay.
One area that I work in is in the front of the store, and so I always welcome the people when they come in the store, because I'm right there in the front, and I just like, welcome to Target. Can I help you find something? And that's actually one of your core roles, is to say welcome. Can I help you find something? And not just point the people to the area, but actually take them to that particular item. and to be able to be knowledgeable of an item.
Okay.
And if I'm not knowledgeable, I will admit and say, hey, I'm not sure, but let me find somebody that can.
Okay.
Yeah.
Gotcha. So you have to be social.
You need to be social.
And social, very social. In the manner in which you're social, might not necessarily even pertain or simply pertain to Target
Mm-hmm.
or retail. In the manner in which you interface with people could actually apply to areas outside of the work that you do.
Mm-hmm.
But it is fair to say, with that being said, that you feel, based on you being a social person and based on what the assessment suggests, that your needs are being met at work, your social needs.
Yeah. I would say so. Can allow me to be a relationship with people, and then with the line of work in ministry, people look at more how you carry yourself outside the pulpit versus how you carry yourself inside the pulpit.
Okay.
What I mean is, if a person can't see what you preach when you're not, if they can't see what you preach in that pulpit outside the pulpit, they're not gonna want to hear you preach anything in that pulpit.
Okay.
Yeah.
So also, because of the work that you do in ministry, you feel that it's important to be a people's person or social.
Well, definitely in ministry, that you need to be a people person because you're leading people.
Right.
And how can you lead people if you don't have a relationship with them? I think or just say, how can you lead people if people don't feel like you're approachable?
Right.
You know, one of my pet peeves is to see a preacher that's not approachable.
Mm-hmm.
You know, that you'll walk by somebody, you don't speak. I've heard numerous times that people have said, I can't listen to him because he'll walk right by you and won't say good morning.
Okay.
That's what they have an issue with.
Right.
You know, so they say that person not a social, but I know it's not, sometimes it's not people character, but I always tell ministers, people don't want to hear what you're saying if they feel like you're not approachable when they see you out in Walmart or when they see you passing the hallway in the church. I don't so much not just say in the hallway at the church, because anybody can put on a sociable phrase inside the church, but I'm saying outside the church, that people see you, they know you recognize them, they recognize you, but yet they don't feel that connection.
Gotcha. Okay. So it sounds like you're naturally a social person, but if you're working in the ministry, you're even more cognizant of how you interact with people as it pertains to your well, in life in general, but also as it pertains to the work that you do at Target.
Yeah, because like I said again, people is not gonna want to come talk to you and feel like they can open up and share something to you that really bothers you if they can't even get a good morning out of you.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, that's good. That's your social needs, or you feel that your social needs are congruent. Or it's fair to say that again, what this test is showing is congruent and matches your personality type as far as the social piece is concerned. Okay, how about enterprising? Do you feel that you get to exercise that enterprising aspect of your personality while at work or on the job? You can take as much time as you need to look over the descriptors.
Persuading and leading people, making decisions, taking risks for profit. I would say yeah. But the reason why, because when you're in retail, you're a salesman, so you are kind of persuading people that that is a good product, that is a good price. So this is probably what you need to fix that problem that you have. Okay. So you're actually persuading people to buy something or saying, that do look nice on you. With co-workers, the same way I would say you're persuading them that you do need to get back in school, you do need to start going to church, you do need to handle that situation.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So there are aspects of the based on the definition of enterprise, there are aspects of it that you are able to apply, as you just mentioned, that are applicable to the work that you do.
Yeah, because y'all tell me, you do need to stop that happening.
Okay.
Yeah.
And this applies to both customers and coworkers, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's true, persuading. Okay. So you feel that so if that's a need that you have, you feel that or being that it's a part of your personality, you feel that need is satisfied or congruent to your work that you do too, or the environment.
Right, because I do help people make decisions, like customers. That's what you need to fix that situation. So I help them make a decision. I've had coworkers call and say, "Okay, Richard, what do you think I need to do in this situation right here?" They told me I need to do this, and I'm like, if I was you, this is how I would handle that situation.
Okay.
That's how I would. That's how I tell him.
Okay.
With helping the young man get in school, I actually went over to the school and got the paperwork and turned paperwork in for him, because I did some of the lead work for him.
Okay.
Yeah.
Huh. Interesting.
Yeah.
Okay. So again, those needs are being met, even if that means you taking initiative.
Me taking an initiative, trying to help him, going beyond the call of duty.
Okay. Even if it means going above and beyond.
Going above and beyond. Yeah.
Okay. Interesting. Interesting. And lastly, conventional. Do you feel that that need is being met?
It is because I have rules that are given to me, core values. I do have guidelines that's given to me that I do have to follow. For example, when I'm given a time to be at work, I do have a guideline that I do need to be there at that job at that particular time. I do have guidelines that when they set me a time, goal time, okay, you need to have this done by 8:30 or 10 o'clock.
Mm.
I need to have that project done by that time.
Okay.
I do have guidelines as to follow leadership when they say you need to put on a name tag. Those are rules that they're given, that's being given down from a strong leader.
Okay.
And so I have to follow that. Even though I may not fully agree with some things they do, I do have to follow them.
Okay.
You know, I do, when they say lunchtime, I do have to take the lunch prior to, before the 6 hour, which I, may not want to, but that's a rule that needs to be followed.
Okay.
And, simple things like that. Also, going, persuading people back in enterprise, and so persuading people to open up a credit card. And me personally, I'm not big on credit cards, but my job is to get red cards.
Huh.
Mm-hmm.
Interesting. So even though personally you're not a big fan of credit cards or starting or opening a credit card account, because it's your job, or if it's what your job requires, a part of your job description, you will still persuade customers.
I would ask them about it.
Or inquire, or see if they may be interested.
Mm-hmm. And just tell them the benefits of it.
And
Knowing myself, I don't take advantage of the benefit because I don't have one.
So if those are your job, if those are targets requirements with respect to rules and guidelines, even though you might not personally be in favor of those rules or guidelines, but because it's your job and the environment that you're in, you still would apply or abide by their rules.
Yeah, because I'm under their authority.
Okay.
So you should respect those who have authority over you. It's nowhere written that I have to get one.
Right.
I'm not required to get one, but I am required to suggest it to the guests.
Gotcha.
Yeah. Now I am required to do that.
Right. You're required to at least suggest it.
Yeah, suggest it.
Gotcha.
Like if I'm on the register, I'm told that I should ask every guest, when I see them that they're not using a red card, I should ask them, have you heard about our red card program? And I'm supposed to go into detail.
Right.
And tell them about it.
Right. As you mentioned, suggesting, even though personally you may not be interested in that service yourself.
Right. I don't have one.
Gotcha.
Not saying I'm against them, but I I keep saying that one day I'm gonna get the red card debit. The red card, but I'll get the debit card, but not the credit card. Where the debit card is just like you using your regular debit card. You using this card is strictly for Target use. But the benefits in that though is when you use that Target red card, the Target red debit card, you save 5% off your total versus you just using your regular bank debit card.
Okay.
So it has its benefits, and that's what I'm supposed to let the guests know that, hey, I know you have a debit card, a regular, say, your personal bank debit card, but if you apply and get Target debit card and it's hooked to your checking account, then when you shop here, you'll save 5% off your total. versus if you use your personal regular bank debit card, you'll pay full price.
Right, pay full price.
Yeah.
So again, as part of your job description, you are required, whether or not it conflicts with your interests, to at least inform customers of potential savings.
For savings, yeah. Also let them know about the app program, how you can download Target app. And we have it's a cartwheel where you can go around when you're shopping, you can go around and you can scan the item, and if it's on the cartwheel, then you can save additional. And I don't have the type of phone that you can download the app.
Again, so that's another service that even though you don't have a person, you still suggest it.
I suggest it.
Even though you don't benefit from it as an employee.
Yeah, I don't benefit from it. Not with a cartwheel, I benefit. Sometimes I benefit from it because I have coworkers who will let me use their phone to get the cartwheel.
Gotcha.
Yeah, but sometimes I don't think about it, and I just go ahead and make my purchase, and they can care less. I just get my employee discount.
If you weren't able to use another employee's card,
Not their card.
I'm sorry, not the card.
Their phone.
Right. If there was a way to possibly track another individual's use of a phone app that wasn't theirs, you would still abide by Target's rules.
As what?
If that was a rule of Target. Not suggesting it, but if you weren't allowed to use another person's phone to access the savings that you mentioned.
For myself?
Or do the app for yourself.
Oh, would I still suggest it to the guest?
No, I'm sorry. You wouldn't still suggest it to the guest, but would you still abide by Target's rule if they said that wasn't okay? To use somebody else's
phone? Yeah. I wouldn't have a problem with that.
Okay.
Because I don't do it all the time, use somebody else's phone.
Okay.
I don't do it all the time, but it's okay to use it.
Gotcha.
Because we have, sometimes our team members, and our manager said it's okay. Sometimes they will let a guest use their phone to get the discount just to help the guest.
Interesting. Okay.
Because we're trying to satisfy our guests, and the guests think that they like that because it just really makes them want to come back to the store.
Right. It really makes the guest feel as though the employee has their best interest at heart.
That's right. Especially when you have older guests who's not technology savvy and they don't know anything about that. And our job is to tell them, like when they're shopping, oh yeah, you get this merchandise, and say, hey, do you have a iPhone, or do you have a phone where you can download it? Like, no, I don't have that type of phone. And they're like, sure, well you can use mine. Or when you get to the register, I'll just tell ask the cashier, and the cashier, if they have their phone, they would let you use their phone so you can save.
Okay. Interesting. Well, it sounds like you are a big fan of a proponent, if you will, advocate for abiding by rules as they apply to your job, and you also shared why there was little to no interest shown in the other areas. Right.
And I also encourage my team members to obey the rules, because I had an incident one time where team members was telling the manager how they called in and didn't nobody answer the phone, and the manager said that's not true. Someone did answer the phone, because I answered the phone, and he put my name in and said that Richard called too, and I answered the phone. So if I answer the phone for him, I answer the phone for you. So I would answer the phone for you. You just did not call. And I was like, I can't believe he put my name in this situation. And I told the coworker, I said, why did you? He did answer the phone. Someone was answering the phone. I said, you just didn't call in. I said, you can't be doing that. I said, you need to handle your business. You need to call in. You need to follow the rules. Same thing when I tell coworkers, even though you may be looking for another job, and when you do get the other job, you still should do right by Target and give Target a 2 weeks notice. You just don't jump up and leave your job, because Target was nice to give you a job. You ought to be nice to, out of respect, at least get them a week notice, or if not, give them a 2 weeks notice. If not, at least get them a 1 week notice to let them know. And also, I encourage them that you need to obey the rules as when when you're scheduled to come in, just to call out is not a good thing to do, to make a habit of it. I can see if it's a extreme mercy, but just to call out, that's not always a good thing to do.
That's ethically, that's not okay with you.
I mean, just to, when I say it's not ethical, it's to the point to me, it's not just to do it just to do it, or not to, just not showing up. That's, to me, is definite injustice. Well, I'm not gonna say injustice, it's not common courteous. Now, I myself have called out, but I will not just not show up.
Okay.
At least call out, but don't just not show up.
Okay.
That's not, or don't just quit without giving them a notice. That's not good.
Communication is important to you.
The communication is important. It is important because it's a lot of people don't understand. I don't care if you're working at being a news person, selling newspapers. Communication is important because you never know that you may have to come back to that job.
Interesting.
You may have to come back. I have had to go back to a job, and because I left in a good way, I ain't have no problem going back.
You've actually experienced where that's made a difference.
Yes. And I left I remember left the first job I ever had. I was there for 3 years, and I was getting ready to before I made 3 years, I was actually getting ready to quit. But I put them a 2 weeks notice in, and I did not leave at that time because the day that I was supposed to leave, they was shorthanded. And I told them, I said, well, you know what? I will stay home a little while longer to help so y'all won't be shorthanded. So I stayed approximately about 5 or 6 months past the time that I told them that I was so initially leaving. But then when I got another job, I told the manager, and she told me, she said, you know what, you don't have to put in another 2 weeks notice. She said, well, you gave us 2 weeks notice months ago. So she said, so if you want this to be your last week, she said, that's fine. She said, because we can't say you didn't give us 2 weeks notice.
Mm-hmm.
And so I left. I say about 5 years later, I called, told them I was looking for some part-time. I was able to come back. No problem.
And you strongly feel it's because of the manner in which you left the job.
Because one of the ladies, when I got back, she was working there. She was there when I initially left 5 years ago. Me and her got hired around the same time.
Okay.
But she left before I left. But then she went back before I went back. And she didn't even know I was coming back. And she even said, you about the only person that I know that this particular manager let come back without giving him a hard time. And she didn't have a problem with that.
It can make a difference.
It does make a difference, especially with Target, because with Target, if you leave and you don't leave the right way, you are not considered eligible for rehire nationwide. I got a young man a job back home at the store, and he left this up to stop showing up, and he wound up losing the job. He moved to Florida, and when he went to Florida, he called me one day and he said he was trying to get on at Target in Florida. He said, but they said that I was uneligible. I was not eligible for rehire. So he wanted to know how long is that going to be in the system. I said, man, that's going to be in the system until. He said, oh, it's not a time frame. I said, no, it's until. It's going to be in there forever because you left the wrong way. If you would have left with 2 weeks notice, then you could have came back. So that's why I always tell people, you never know what the future holds. So you should always leave in a good way.
Okay.
Regardless of, I know some jobs be telling you that you need to start right away, but you need to also let that job understand, okay, I want a job, but I have a job, and I need to do right by them.
Okay.
Now, if that new job can't understand that, then I don't know if that's where you need to, I ain't gonna say that's not that may not need to be where you need to go, but I think personally you need to try to work it out. Because my thing is, I would never I just don't believe in leaving a job a wrong way. I have heard a situation where it happens, but I just think you ought to that new job, the new employee should understand that you need to close this door
Mm-hmm.
the right way.
Before another door opens.
Yeah, right. Before you go and
Before you walk through that door.
Right, before you walk through that door.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Even if that take you having to work double time as to the point where, just say like this job, just say like you working at Target day shift and this job wants you to work day shift,
Mm-hmm.
then maybe you can talk to Target and see for the next couple of weeks, can you switch to night shift so you can fulfill to your 2 weeks up. Or just try to work out, or if you can get somebody to cover your shifts that you have at Target. So it'd be like you're not just not showing up, you just swapping with somebody.
Mm-hmm.
And I think you should try to work that out for those 2 days, for those 2 weeks.
Mm-hmm.
Or at least a week or something. So it would look like that you're quitting, but you're not just leaving them, you're not abandoning your job, because at Target, not showing up 3 times is job abandonment.
Mm.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, based on the assessment and what you just shared, Brother Richard, it sounds like problem solving, which was one of the descriptors in the assessment as well, as part of a characteristic type, is important to you as well.
Yeah, doing the right thing is important. Doing the right thing. Case in point, I was in a situation when I was leaving a job, taking another job, and I told the guy when he hired me, I said, "Now I still have a job that my last day at that job is the end of this month." I said, "Now I can start next week." I said, "But which was the 27th, but my last day at that job is not till the 31st.
Okay.
So I told him that this is what I can work. I can work mornings. And I said, but after Saturday, I'll be able to work any time y'all need me to work. And he said, okay. Because he understood that I needed to close that door at that other job the right way.
Okay. Ethics and rules and guidelines are important to you as well.
And that job that I left, I worked that out because it was causing me that whole week. I had to go to work. I had to work 2 jobs, because I worked. And went to the new job early in the morning, got off, and went to the old job that afternoon. And it worked out. But the thing about it, that old job, I wound up going back to them years later too. And it wasn't no problem. It wasn't no problem going back to work for them part-time.
So when you share or you serve as a mentor and encourage young people, you actually have personal testimony with respect to employment.
And yeah, I have a testimony that if you go into a job and just be straight up with people and just tell them what's really going on, most of the time, not all the time, it depends on, you can come across some unworkable people, but if you go up in there in the right way and just tell them, I'm telling you right, this is what's going on, and they'll work with you. I've been working at Target over going on 10 years, and I've had things come up, and I've had to go to them and get permission on certain things, and I didn't. Maybe one person may say no, but I didn't let that one person be the last resort. I went to another person, and it got worked out.
Gotcha.
Yeah, but communication and just being straightforward. Just being straightforward with them.
Being honest and upfront.
Just being honest and just being upfront.
Okay. Now, with that being said, Brother Richard, and since we've had an opportunity to discover what your interests and abilities are based on the assessment, today we discussed how those interests and abilities are represented under those 6 personality characteristics that you looked at being social, conventional, enterprise, investigative, realistic, artistic. What I like to do now, with the time we have remaining in our last and final session, is since we've learned that your top three interests according to the test are social, conventional, and enterprise, I'd like to direct you to a website in which you can take those same personality characteristics, your top three, social, conventional, and enterprise. That would be your code, your personality code. I would like to take you or direct you to a website where you can plug in that code in various occupations that correlate or match to that code based on your personal interests, and as those interests pertain to your working environment. Based on that, see what other occupations you may be interested in based on your personality characteristics. If that makes sense. If that makes sense. If you have any questions at this point, please feel free to ask, and I'll try to clarify as best as I can.
Okay.
But again, basically what we're doing, based on what you see here, and based on what you shared with me in terms of how they apply to target those same characteristics, I want to see via the website if there are other occupations that match those same characteristics. So right now you're doing retail, and you told me how they apply to retail, but now we want to take a look to see how they may apply to other occupations that you may be interested in that still fall under service, or still embody service, still embody those descriptors that fall under enterprise, the ones that you read, leadership, persuading, and such, and see how those see what other occupations fall under conventional. Okay.
Yeah.
If you like, because we still have a little time, if you like, since you have your computer on hand, we could try to see if you'll be able to access it via your computer. If not, though it'll be much smaller, I can see if I'll be able to access it through my phone, just to give you an idea as to what it looks like. So maybe at another time, at your own leisure, you'll be able to look it up on the computer when you're in a setting in which you're able to access the website.
Let me see.
In the event that you can't, again, I'll pull it up on my phone to give you an idea of something you can do on your own.
You might want to try and see if you can get on your, you can get on your phone.
Okay. Do you think that since those needs have been met, that you just mentioned, based on your those personality types, do you feel that they're the reason that you have been working for Target as long as you have, because you have been working there 9 years?
Yeah, 9 going on 10.
9 going on 10 years. You think the reason that you've been working there for almost a decade is because those social needs, conventional and enterprise needs, have been met, that there's congruence, they match, your personality matches those same characteristics within your environment, Target?
I would say, yes, yeah. I think sometimes, I would say yeah, because sometimes your personality, to me, can take you places that let me put it like this, sometimes people will, I ain't gonna say tolerate you, but sometimes it's your personality. You have a good personality. You may not be the strongest, the best worker that can get the job done, but they keep you because you're stronger in other areas.
Okay.
So I think that has kind of been a help to me. And then also I switched stores. I always tell people that I switched stores. Like I went from Hattiesburg store, worked there a year. Went to the Clifford store, stayed there 4 years. Now I'm at this particular store, and I was thinking 4 years, but it's almost going on 5 because I've been there since 12. So I think those kind of been a plus because it allowed me to be able to go get around fresh new people and fresh management, fresh environment. Cause sometimes being in the same environment you can get burnt out on it, and it can get kind of stale. And you can find yourself getting more irritated, and you may not want to stay there long. But I think one of the things that have helped me there is being able to go to other stores, getting a fresh store, and even though I'm not starting a new job, I'm still with the same company, but it's like starting a new job because I'm in a new environment.
Right.
and that make to me have made a big difference.
So even if you're not the best employee,
I think sometimes my personality, me being, even though I may not be the best person in getting the work done, I think I'm strong in other areas. It's like personality, friendliness, role model. I think that can kind of help.
okay,
That can kind of outweigh the area that you're weak in.
okay. The social aspect of your personality can outweigh your, at times, outweigh your ability.
Your ability, right?
Okay, okay,
Right.
okay. Well, I'm sorry.
So they'll see that you're strong in that area, and they like you bring access to the company in this area.
Gotcha.
Where you may be a liability in another area.
But yet still a strength. An asset. Okay, okay. Well, since you weren't able to pull it up on your computer, I was able to pull it up on my phone. What I like to do, I'll come on your side. Again, even though the view of the screen is much smaller. Again, just to give us an idea of what, now that we've talked, again, now we have an idea as where you are in terms of your interests and abilities and your personality types. Now at this point, again, we can plug in based on what our personality types show as far as the social, conventional, and enterprise. We can plug those into this website, navigate it and plug it into this website, which again will reveal other occupations that match those same personality types. So for example, right here, it has keyword ONET SOC code, which is basically in essence the code that correlates and matches your personality code, or what was revealed in the assessment. So for example, you scored the greatest number or the highest number is in the social area or the social type. So you would plug in S. You can go ahead and do it if you like.
Do S?
Yes, sir. And then the second greatest or highest number was representative of enterprise. So you can plug in E. And last but not least, your third highest score was in the area of conventional. So now you can plug in the letter C. Again, that's representative of your code. Your three highest numbers that are representative of your personality type. Now, it doesn't necessarily have to be in this order. Since social is the dominating characteristic, you do want to start with that letter if or whenever you do plug in the code, just because that number is larger than the others, and that's where your main interests and abilities lie, which you just shared with me in this session and our past session. But you are able to change the order of your secondary characteristics. So for example, next time when you do it on your own at some point, you may plug in the S, or beginning with S again, because that's the dominating characteristic, but you may afterwards or subsequently plug in the C rather than the E, and then followed by the E last. So so the second and third letters, the order doesn't necessarily matter because they're closely related, whereas you do want to start with the S because that's your dominating characteristic. Now what we can do is you can press the arrow and see what happens. Okay, so here, based on your code, what is this revealed, and I apologize again for it being this tiny, or occupations that correlate or correspond to your code or your personality type. So here we have showing the top 20 occupations for social, enterprise, and conventional. Okay, closest matches are shown first. And those that aren't as close, as you continue to scroll, follow those. So again, just to give you some idea of some other occupations you may be interested in, even currently while you're still employed as a retailer for Target. And again, as you can see at the bottom, those are just the top 20. If you want to choose to continue to scroll, they're up to 365. So if you're not interested in those, or if you don't feel that those correlate to your personality types, you can continue to scroll until you find or come across some you like to research and explore a little bit more.
I'm
Trying to get it off?
Mm-hmm.
Maybe not. You trying to keep going?
Yeah, look at some more.
If you like, you can navigate. I'm still looking this up.
So I'm saying, how you saying show all the occupations?
Hmm. Again, you may see some that pique your interest, considering that there's so many, and
Yep.
considering the fact that these correlate to your personality types. Again, based on our assessment. Now remember, also at any given point, if you like, you can go back up
Mm.
and enter a new search, in which again you begin with the S, but this time it could be followed by the
You
E
be,
or
okay, so you
SEC.
be C, you be SCE.
Yes, SCE. You're right. But we did SEC. And in like manner, showing the top 20 occupations for SCE in that order: social, commission, and enterprise. Mhm.
Mhm.
Now, if we have time, or since we still have some time in our session, if it's okay with you, I'd like to just show you maybe one more
Okay.
that basically serves the same purpose, but the manner in which you navigate the website, I believe, is slightly different. Mhm. A little bit different. Let me try. Maybe it's because it's the mobile version. But at any rate, these, at least in the phone, on the mobile version or over the phone, don't it doesn't show the code, but it still does give you an alphabetical list of occupations beginning with um, all the letters of the alphabet.
Mhm.
So if you like, you can just add random, or just to get an idea, choose one and see what happens.
And then show you like list of occupations that fit you.
No, let's see.
Um,
Now, as far as setting up or creating occupations that suit your personality as the other website does, this one, at least in the mobile version, I believe it does so differently on the computer, but on the website, on the mobile version, you get various occupations, so it's not quite as specific as the other website, at least not over the phone. Okay, but again, if you still at any given point would like to channel or access this website to just look at various occupations, you can. But again, in this version, as you see, it doesn't specify the occupations as they relate to your personality type or your code. So we may want to at least start off with, since you've already seen that one specifically accesses your code, you may want to start with the first one at your own leisure.
mhm.
Okay. Would you feel pretty good about this, doing on this on your own
Mhm.
time? Okay. Okay. And you think it could be helpful?
And it can be very helpful because it kind of, not saying that it's 100% accurate, but it can give you, it can narrow down your search and kind of give you an idea of the career that you want to go in.
Okay.
Mhm.
Okay. So again,
that fits your personality.
Right. So it can provide some direction. It may not necessarily specify one occupation in particular, or that occupation may not be for you, but it can give you some more information you feel that might be helpful
Right.
in making a career choice. Okay. Interesting. Okay. Thank you for sharing. I'll come back on this side.